Welcome to Thriving on Purpose, the YouTube channel. Hello, gorgeous people, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Thriving on Purpose, the YouTube channel, where we share stories of inspiration, determination, motivation for women who may still be on their breast cancer journey, or for those who have completed treatment and may find themselves a little bit stuck. I am your host, Dee Manuel Cloud. I am a two-time breast cancer survivor, now 16 years in remission, and I am also a breast cancer recovery coach, a best-selling author, and an international speaker. Today, I have with us the lovely Darlene Teeter, who's going to share with us her story on her breast cancer journey. So Darlene, thank you so much and welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
So we're going to just dive right in. I always like to start out with asking, and I know ladies don't like to share their age, but I think it's relative, right?
Right.
Because it helps our viewers relate to us. So I always like to start out asking the age of how old you were at the time of your diagnosis, the type of diagnosis, and the treatment option you chose.
So I was 51 when I was diagnosed. Actually, I was 50 when the whole thing got started. Final diagnosis, I was 51. I decided to do a bilateral mastectomy. And the other question, I don't remember what you asked me. Sorry.
That's okay. The type of diagnosis.
DCIS.
DCIS. So I heard you say you were 51 by the time the smoke cleared with your diagnosis. You had DCIS. Did they give you a stage, Darlene?
I was stage 0, thank goodness.
Oh, yay!
Yes.
I love that. I always say the only thing better than stage 0 breast cancer is no breast cancer at all, right? And you chose a bilateral mastectomy. Tell us about your choice and why you chose a bilateral mastectomy.
Well, when I was 48, they had to do a needle biopsy then because in my left breast, they found a spot and they wanted to check it out. So it came back that it was just a calcification. But, I knew they'd always told me I had dense breast, and I knew that I was at very high risk for breast cancer. So when they did the needle biopsy on the right breast, and there were 2 areas, and one had a radial scar, and they wanted to go in and they wanted to finally do a lumpectomy. And I didn't know that's what it was. They didn't call it that. They said, we just want to go in and check it. And I was like, okay, but I didn't realize what I was in for, right? So they did the lumpectomy, and I decided right then, if anything came back, I think I just want to do a bilateral mastectomy because that way there's not as much worry anymore. It just, all things go through your mind. So everything came back benign until we did the lumpectomy. Like she didn't find anything with the needle biopsy. I never failed anything, all that. But when they did the lumpectomy, they found a cancer cell in that radial scar. So when she called me in and she talked to me, of course, I was devastated. But I had already made up my mind. I was like, nope, we're going to do bilateral mastectomy. I had choices. I could have done radiation, chemo peel. I could have watched and waited, which that was not a choice for me. I was not about to do that. Or I could do a mastectomy, a single mastectomy. So I asked, can we do both? Because I don't want to do this again. Like I knew I had benign in both because of the needle biopsy from 48 years old, right? So I said, can we just go ahead and do both so I don't have to be concerned anymore? And she said yes. So that's what I did. And it's one of those warrior moments, you're just like, okay, this is what we're going to do. I'll be all right. We'll deal with it, whatever comes after that. But I don't want to have to worry about this anymore,
That's smart. And I always say that I wish that I had done a double mastectomy. I did not. I wasn't as curious as I should have been. So good on you for being curious and asking the right questions. I did a unilateral mastectomy because I was only worried about the affected breast. I wasn't even after being a two-time breast cancer survivor, I wasn't concerned about the other breast. I was just like, let's deal with the breast that's affected. And I don't know why, but if I had it to do all over again, I would do a double, right? So one of the things that you shared is that you knew that you were high risk and you talked about dense breasts. Can you tell us a little bit more about how those two align?
So according to the radiologist and my gynecologist, right, every time I go, I had very dense breasts, which means they can't see cancer as easily. And so when they told me that years ago, when I think my gynecologist was really smart, and at 37, he had me go get a baseline. So before I even turned 40, he wanted me to have a baseline. And, you know, it was dense then. So I knew from the beginning I was going to be high risk because I wouldn't be able to see cancer as easily as someone who doesn't have dense breast, right? And so many women have dense breasts.
Mhm.
We're at so much risk, so many women, right, of not being able to find it easily. So, you know, when that's why I made the decision I did, because I thought, well, they might see one cancer cell, but is there more in there because they can't really see? And they
Mhm.
didn't see it on imaging. They did not see it when they did the needle biopsy. They did not see it on ultrasound. They only saw it when they did the lumpectomy. So
Mhm.
I knew, okay, I better do something about this today, you know.
Thank you for sharing it. And thank you for breaking that down for our viewers who may not understand the high risk of breast cancer with dense breast tissue. I had a couple of ladies who have talked about dense breast tissue and making us more aware that we need to be hyper vigilant when we have dense breast tissue. One of the other things that you talked about that I wanted to touch on is you said you weren't aware that they were doing a lumpectomy, that they kind of sprung that on you. They didn't call it that. Tell us more about that.
So when I went to see the breast cancer specialist, which is great, you know, she was trained at Sloan Kettering. She was really smart. Everybody talked about how great she was. Of course, I didn't know all that in the beginning. Um, but they just said, you know, we just want to take a look. We just want to go in, take a look, get that radial scar out and take a look at it, make sure all is good. And I was like, oh, okay. You know, with never having to deal with breast cancer, I didn't realize what she was talking about was a lumpectomy because she never called it that.
Mhm.
So I'm sure that she didn't do that because she didn't want to scare me, you know. Um, and that was nice of her, but I would like to have known that it was a lumpectomy and what I was headed for. Like I didn't really realize that they suspected probably cancer, and that's why they were doing that. And I don't know if she even suspected that, honestly. I mean, it could have been that she just wanted to be careful.
Mhm.
But I mean, I'm glad they did it. But you know, it doesn't matter which way it is. At least they checked it, right?
And they found it, and you're still here with us to share your story. And
That's right.
ultimately, that's the biggest win, right? To come out
Right.
on the other side of this thing and still be able to share your story and inspire and motivate others. So tell me, what lessons, if any, have you learned from your breast cancer journey, Darlene?
To get a mammogram is absolutely the most important thing you can do, even though they didn't find it. Okay, they knew something was there. To have that mammogram somewhere that you feel comfortable, knowing that they are diligent and making sure what they're looking at is important. Um, you know, because of COVID, I had missed my mammogram, and so when I went back in the second year to get my mammogram, that's when they found it. And since then, I've had a friend who had went a couple of years without getting a mammogram, found cancer when they went back in. And then my friend just now was diagnosed a couple of days ago. She as well had not been for 4 years. I was like, go get your mammogram. You need your mammogram. She went and got her mammogram, and there's 3 spots. Two are known, the other one is unknown what it is. So, you know, I'm a little worried about her, but, you know, the mammogram is so important. And, you know, material things are not important. So people make such a big thing of material. You learn when you get into this process, and I mean, I've never really been a big material person anyway, but when you hear people talk about things or arguing about things that are so unimportant on TV or your friends or whatever, you're sitting there going, you have no idea. That is so not that shouldn't even matter. Why just be kind? I mean, why be mean?
You know, let's talk a little bit more about that because we do have a tendency, this society that we live in puts a lot of emphasis on acquiring things, right? And wealth and materialistic things. And so I love what you shared about learning that that's not what's most important. When you're going through something as traumatic as breast cancer, you would give up everything just to be healed,
Yeah,
right? And I remember I was having a conversation with a young lady, and once somebody tried to tell me that material things weren't that money wasn't that important. But this person had a lot of money. And I was like, well, that's easy to say when you have a lot of money, right? But what I learned ultimately is it was December 2019, if I'm not mistaken, I made the most money in my real estate investment career that I had ever made. But it was also the most miserable month of my life because I had lost so many people that I love. Right. And so, what you just shared about really focusing on the things that are important, I think is a great lesson to garner from having gone through this breast cancer journey, like really knowing what's important, loving on the people who are around you, spending time with the people that you love, and doing things that fulfill you. Because if breast cancer teaches us nothing else, life is short. Right? Like that was my lesson. Like life is short. Let's make sure that we're doing something that we love.
right. Yeah. And I guess that's what I mean by material things, because I do real estate too. And I do make my money that way, but I now use that money in a whole different way than I used to use it. Right. Um, and yeah, money like makes life easier. It does, so you have to work to make your life easier. I get that. But when all you think about is those material things and keeping up with the Joneses kind of attitude, that's just not what needs to be worried about. You need to do the things that make you happy, that fulfill you, that thrill you, that, just make your life what you want it to be. And don't worry about the other person standing beside, kind of put your blinders on, and just make your life what you want it to be. And don't worry about somebody else has or does, or, that's not going to help you, you know?
I love it. I love that you said make your life what you want it to be because I don't think that many of us, and I know it sounds really simple,
Yeah.
but we don't realize that we are the creator of our lives, right? We get to determine how happy we want to be, what we're going to put up with, what we're going to settle for, what we're going to go after. We get to decide and create lives that we love. And that's why I got into being a breast cancer recovery coach. It is what excites me, it is what fulfills me, it is what thrills me. Real estate didn't. It just
Right.
didn't. Like great returns. Like
Yeah.
I had great returns. I'm not complaining, but it did not fulfill me. I didn't enjoy it at all. So it was like, yeah, I don't think I should keep doing this.
Right. I know. And like at one time when I was younger, I loved real estate. I loved going to look at houses. And of course, I love helping the people. I get the biggest thrill out of helping somebody find what they're looking for, right? Especially first time home buyers. They're so sweet. Um, but like you said, it doesn't fulfill you. There's just part of something missing in there, and this has opened up doors for me that thrills my soul.
I love it. So tell us about some of the doors that have been open for you.
So I started like on breasties. Um, Actually, it's me and my breasties is the actual name of my corporation. But that's a nonprofit where I get to help women. I'm located in Lake Norman, so it's called Lake Norman Breasties here, but I can move it anywhere, and open up another chapter if I wanted to. But I want to help women feel the best they can feel, not just through the breast cancer journey, but beyond that. But during the breast cancer journey, I want them to know there's somebody there, somebody that they can call on if they want to sit and cry with me, if they want to tell me how great things are going, I don't, whatever, I'm just here so that they can talk to me about whatever they need to talk about, because I've been there, I know what it feels like, right? And then of course, make it easier for them during the process. So if you have a mastectomy, help them with the products, send them the products they need to help them deal with it better, to make it easier to go through. Radiation and chemo, if they need something during that, whatever I can do to help, send it their way so they don't have to worry about the money to purchase it or whatever. And then mentorship. So I have some ladies who, when we have ladies who need someone, what do I do? Is this okay after surgery, or whatever, they can call on and say, hey, I just need some advice, or let's go have lunch, or, just have that person in your life that's went through the same thing you have, right?
I love that. So what I just heard you say is what is it?
Lake Norman Breasties.
Lake Norman, and I don't know what I wanted to call it, but Lake Norman Breasties. And so
Yes.
I heard you say that you created this nonprofit that provides services, support to breast cancer. I don't like the word patients. I don't know what other word I want to use there, but I don't like patients.
Yeah.
But to ladies who are on their breast cancer journey, right? And also mentorship. So thank you. Thank you, Darlene, for the work that you're doing in the world. We need more people like you. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I love it. And I mean, I saw, that's one of those God moments, So, when you're going through it and you're sitting there and you just hear that little voice that's like, you need to do this. And you're like, what? No, I can't do that. I don't have, I can't do that. I don't have funding for that. I don't, I'll work. What do you mean you got to do that? And I was like, you're just hearing that, and it just kept going. You need to do this. I want you to do this, and finally it's like, okay, I think I need to listen to that little voice. That little voice, I think, is actually God telling me to do something, and so you have to listen to it.
Oh, I love those God moments. I love those God moments. And I love one of the things that I'm always sharing with my clients is getting still. Because I think so many of us don't spend time in stillness and quietness so that we can hear that little voice, right? So thank you for bringing up the little voice.
Yes.
Because I do believe that those are God moments, and I do believe that they are God led. So, Darlene, next I want to ask you what it means to you to thrive and how that shows up in your life. Though I think you just kind of talked about it, but let's talk about it some more.
Yes. So, I mean, of course, it's like an old adage at this point, but live your life on purpose. Have a purpose. You're not just here to walk through life and, enjoy everything around you. That's not what you're here for. You're here to live your life on purpose. Have a purpose and work in that purpose. And if you listen to your little voice, you'll figure out what your purpose is. And I mean, that's where I thrive, right? Is being able to do for other people what has been done for me, And so I don't know, that's my thriving.
I love it. I love it. What I heard Darlene say is live your life with intention. And I love that because the name of my corporation is Intentional Living Academy, right? So it's all about living on purpose, living with intention, and making sure that you are listening to the little voice so that you can do things that fulfill you and that thrill you. Because one of the things that you also said, Darlene, I'm going to go back to is those God moments. And when we are leaning into those God moments, I believe, to your point, that's where we find our purpose. That's when we can live a fulfilling life because we're doing what one and who's to say we only have one purpose? That's a whole different topic. But
Right.
we're doing one of the things that God has put us on the planet to achieve, right? And I don't believe that any woman goes through something as traumatic as breast cancer and comes out the same. And so I think that it's important for us to look at, okay, where do I want to take my life now? And how can I live on purpose? And how can I live with intention And that's one of the things that I help breast cancer survivors uncover in my program is like, let's look at your purpose and how you can make the rest of your life the best of your life because you're doing something you love, right? And I feel like I'm a living testimony to that. Like I walked away from corporate America, I walked away from real estate, all to do the thing that lights me up. And I don't regret it at all.
Right. That's where you find your joy and your happiness. And, um, people can chase money all day long. And I don't think they're ever happy. I don't see how that doesn't make you happy. There's no way that makes you happy. But if you will find your intentional spot in life and run after that, that will make you happy,
Yes.
And not to say, as a breast cancer survivor, you have your moments, right? We all have our moments throughout life, but there are those moments where you're like, am I really okay? Or we sure we're okay, and we always have those moments, but there's still joy in that no matter what, right? I just think you have to find what you really were put here for. And once you do that, nothing else matters.
Nothing. I love that. Nothing else matters. So tell us, Darlene, how we can get in touch with you, how we can support you in Lake Norman Breasties in your nonprofit, and how we can get in touch with you.
So I have a Facebook page. We're newer, so I have a Facebook page, Lake Norman Breasties. So that's an easy way to get in touch with me. You can call me 704-677-2402. That's my cell number, and you can call me there. Darlene Teeter at gmail.com. You can email me there. Before long, I'll have this on email and it'll have everything. But right now, that's where I'm at. But you can in touch with me any way you want, and I'll see what I can do to help you. Right?
I love that. Like, your heart is so big. Like, you literally just sat here and gave us your phone number, your personal email, your personal cell phone number. And that to me just shows oh my God, how inspiring you are and how your purpose is to support other women on this journey, right? Yeah. So thank you. Let's give it out to them one more time. It's Darlene Teeter at gmail.com.
Correct.
And the phone number again?
704-677-2402.
Awesome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's how you can get in touch with Darlene. If you're looking for support on your breast cancer journey, you need some mentorship, you need some advice, reach out to Darlene and Lake Norman Breasties and let them love on you, right? Thank you all so much for tuning in to another episode of Thriving on Purpose, the YouTube channel with Darlene Teeter and myself. And we hope that you've learned some things about what your options are, making sure that you are aware of whether or not you have dense breast tissue, making sure that you ask questions and advocate for yourself, because you never know what your options are if you don't ask the right questions. Knowing when you're at high risk and living with intention and on purpose. So thank you, Darlene, so much. Did you have anything you wanted to share before we disconnect?
Get your mammogram. Yeah, that's the biggest thing I want to share is make sure you're getting your mammogram, and live your life on purpose.
Get your mammogram and live your life on purpose. So that's going to do it for us today. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. If you liked what you've seen and heard so far, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, turn on your notifications so you can get more inspiring stories like Darlene's. And we will see you next week on Thriving on Purpose, the YouTube channel. We love you. Ain't nothing you can do about it. And remember, we're thriving on purpose. Bye for now. For more inspirational stories like these, please like, comment, and subscribe. And remember to turn on your notifications. Thank you for rocking with us. And remember, we're thriving on purpose.